So when you come to study Neville's work and you take it seriously, you're going to come into contact with certain ideas that you once believed in that you're going to have to now tackle and dismantle. And one of the beliefs is that there is no external God. And I know that when I was taught as a child that there was this external God who watched us and really only saw the bad you do and the good you do, you're just supposed to do it. And you have to get rid of that idea when you study Neville. Or if you really take it seriously, you have to get rid of it. And when you realize you can't turn to anyone else, anything else, for your desires, for your wants, for your wishes, for whatever you want to call them, or your dreams, or your forgiveness, when you realize you can't turn to another, can't go to another person, you can't go to another God, then it pins you against yourself, and you have to make a decision. You have to make the decision to forgive yourself. And forgiveness, in this case, means to imagine a new life. And so we can hold ourselves in bondage inside and not imagine new things because we don't think we can be forgiven. But if I can't turn to another to forgive me, then you have to learn to forgive yourself. You can't escape yourself. It doesn't matter where you're at physically. You can't escape who you are being inside or what you are imagining. You can only forgive it. You can only change it. And so the question now becomes, what do you want to do? Not what you think other people want you to do. You can't go to another person. Do you want to forgive yourself, regardless of what it is? And so you have to learn to forget all the things you've been. You have to forget all the things you've done or will do. You have to forget all of it. And forgetting is a complete release. It's a letting go of all these things. It's a complete release. And if you can't turn to another, what are you going to do inside? Whatever it is, if you're bound by the past within yourself and you need to release yourself from the past, you can't go to someone else to do it for you. So what are you going to do? Are you going to let go of it? And when you see that, when you take this work seriously and you see that there's no one else you can turn to, you're going to have to ask yourself a series of questions. And the questions are, am I really the one who's holding myself in bondage? Am I really the one punishing myself? Am I really the one keeping myself in guilt? Am I really the one restricting forgiveness? Am I really the one abusing myself? Am I really this one inside of myself? Is this me? And when you see it is you, then in my case, the mistake I made was thinking that forgiveness was going to come from some God outside of me. It was coming from some other source than me. And so I waited, and you wait, and you wait for this freedom, which in this case, again, forgiveness means to imagine a new life. It's like I was waiting to imagine a new life. But if I can't turn to anyone else to wait anymore, then I have to start imagining that life now. I don't get to wait. And so, although it can be, there's two sides to this coin, right? You discover who you really are inside and what you're doing inside. And you can't run to your parents to save you. And figuratively and literally, you can't run to another person to save you. You can't, what I was taught was that if you can do anything you want and whatever wrong thing you want to do, and if you just say some little prayers with a rosary, you better hope that the God heard your prayers and that then you're forgiven. You just say these little made up prayers. It's all made up. These beads are made up. The prayers are made up. The building's made up. The God is made up. There'll be a new one here 1,000 years from now. It's all made up. And so that was a big mistake of me to believe in that. And so I have to let go of these external sources for my own forgiveness. I have to let go for these external sources for my own fulfillment of my desires. I can't go to another. Not anymore if I take this seriously. And so you have to get rid of this erroneous idea. Neville says we leave the tree of good and evil. We stop feasting on that tree and we go to truth and error. We feast on the tree of truth and error. And truth is always coupled with love. And so if you're not imagining with love, which would be to forgive yourself, to imagine something new, to give yourself that grace, that's what love is, then you're feasting on error. You're in error. And there's an erroneous idea that your forgiveness, your freedom comes from some other source, that you wait for it to happen in a sense. You wait for some God to come give it to you. And I waited. I waited for many years. Decades I waited and waited and hoped and I prayed, and it was never answered because I was praying to something that wasn't real. It was God that became man. God is not in some temple built by human hands. So you don't need to go anywhere else but within yourself. That's it. You just got to go within yourself, and you start to forgive yourself from there. You start there. You start to imagine a new life within you. And take this saying that really I don't know if I heard this from Neville himself, but I heard this in my head, and it's that you have to be the thing before you are the thing. And when you have to be the thing before you are the thing, and you're not that thing, and you thinking that you don't deserve to be that thing, but the only way to be that thing is to be it now before you are that thing, then you have to let go of the idea of deserving. You have to let go. You have to realize grace is not coming for you. It's not going to happen tomorrow. It happens now within you. Freedom that you're seeking isn't going to come tomorrow. It happens now within you. Who else is the source of the freedom you're seeking but yourself? Only you really know the type of freedom you want. Not everybody wants to be freed from the same things. It's subjective. And so find what you want to be freed from and start being freed from it now. You have to be the thing before you are the thing. That's how you become the thing. And sometimes I think life forces us to forgive ourselves. I think we're pushed into a certain corner. But instead of being pushed into a corner like a nightmare, you're pushed into a corner to forgive yourself, to give yourself grace. And then you realize you're the source for that. You no longer have to go outside of yourself for it. And that's all this is. Throughout your life, if you take this work seriously, throughout your life, you're going to dismantle, you're going to cut off every single thing that is outside of you. That you can't turn to another person. You can't turn to another thing. You can only turn to your own state of consciousness. And that can be a difficult thing when you aren't used to doing that. But what's our other option? Seriously, what's the other option? Saying some made-up prayers, making stuff up so that we can feel better about ourselves? Why not just start feeling better about yourself? Why do all these things to be a good person? Just be the good person. As Neville said, why believe in God? Why not believe as God? Why believe in things? Believe you are them. It's a waste of time. And then I was reading Feeling is a Secret the other day. I just read it real quickly, and there was a certain, let me pull it out real quick. There was a certain sentence that stuck out to me, and it said, "It is natural to do the works of the one you believe yourself to be. So live in the feeling of being the one you want to be, and that you shall be." So it is only natural for us to do what we believe we are. It doesn't matter if it's good or bad. But why choose bad? Why choose the things you don't want? Why not choose to actually be the thing you want to be? Forget what you've done. Forget what you've been. It's just a state, and it has to express itself. Forgive yourself and start to imagine a new life. It's only natural for you to start to express it, so you don't have to worry about the expression. So it comes down to, what are you going to do, and what are you going to imagine yourself as? And that's really the eternal question we're always asking ourselves, is what am I imagining myself as? I can't turn to another to change it. I have to take myself everywhere, and I can't escape myself. And I can't turn to anyone. Then I must adjust myself. I must change how I see myself. And you're going to see that it's going to pin you against yourself, and you're going to have to learn what forgiveness truly is. And then you will see that God is the great blacksmith of life, and we are his gold, and he's shaping us into the image of himself. But he's love. So we're all going to be shaped into love. And love forgives. Love accepts. And that's something you're going to have to do. And you're going to have to learn what that means. And you learn by doing it on yourself. So you let go of the guilt and the shame and you change yourself. For Christ didn't come for the people who are healthy. He came for the sick. He came for the sinners, the people who are missing their mark in life. That's who Christ comes for. It's always going to be that way. And so the message really I'm trying to deliver here is that you can't turn to another. It's in the beginning, actually, in the book that I wrote. The first beginning quotes, the first one I write is that Neville speaks about how it's easier to live a life when you blame people and blame things. It's harder to live a life when you feel like you can't turn to anything. But when you see the positive to that, which is you can't turn to anything for the good things and the lovely things, and that you are also the source of that, you're going to find a freedom you've never known before. And so I'm going to end that one here. And so thank you guys for listening and giving me your ear. But, I do want to announce that the book is doing great. And if you want to purchase it, it's in the description. I also do one-on-ones and live talking. If you want to join, just go to the description. It's all there. Just email me. But again, take this seriously and take this message to heart that you are the source of the good that you're seeking, that you want from another. You are that source. But okay, take care.